All right, welcome to the Legends of Inside Sports. I'm Harold Bell. We're gonna go down to Arkansas this morning to visit my main man, a former DC guy who knows the area well, and I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Larry Hicks. And we're going to be coming from KABF FM 88.3. Good morning, Larry. Are you there?
Are you ready?
I'm ready, my brother.
Okay. And good morning and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. I'm Larry Hicks, your host, and we'll be here until 10 o'clock on this beautiful Monday morning, the 15th of April, the day that everybody has been waiting for all year long to cough up your cash to the United States government once again. Today is tax day, and we are reminding you of that in hopes that for those of you who can, you will. For those of you who can't, you ain't. So, nonetheless, we are mindful that today is tax day, and Americans have until midnight tonight in order to get in all of their paperwork in order to show how much they made and how much you owe to our great nation and our federal government. Well, this morning we have one of America's premier sports talk personalities. I mean, we are excited and proud to have him here on the show. We're going to have a lot to talk about with him on this morning. And he is, without fail, one of the leading black journalists in the history of sports journalism, in the history of journalism, period, Mr. Harold Bell. And he is the person who was said by Muhammad Ali, Harold, you and I have a lot in common. You two have persevered and stood fast for the principles in which you believe. Dave Bean said, Harold, you helped prepare me for the wars in the NBA. Mr. Gene Kilroy, who was the business manager for Muhammad Ali for many, many years, said, Harold, if you had been white, you would have been a millionaire, and they would have been calling you Howard Cosell, the Black Harold Bell. Kimberly Leonard said, Harold, I'm the welterweight champion of the world today because you were there when no one else was. James Brown, the incomparable James Brown of CBS Sports, said Harold has always been a voice for people who didn't have a voice. He always called it as he saw it. He's been an inspiration and a motivation for me and a lot of other black broadcasters. And to that end, with one more expression by the late, great Boston Celtics coach, Red Auerbach, who said, Harold Bell and Inside Sports makes sense. And we are pleased to have him on the program this morning. The incredible, the inimitable, the one and only, Mr. Harold Bell. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Larry, and thank you so much for that great introduction. I'm so happy to be with you because you are from, you worked out in the Washington area, and you kind of know my history. And I appreciate you reaching out to me, man, on this great April 15th, man. We got a lot to talk about.
We got a whole lot to get into on this morning. We're going to cover what's happening in the NBA. We're going to cover what's happening in baseball right now. We're going to talk about what's going on in D.C. with go-go music.
Ain't that something?
It's just unbelievable. And we're going to talk about, starting off, one of the incredible sports comebacks in the history of sports in of itself. I certainly want to get your thoughts on it. And that's the incredible Tiger Woods winning his 5th green jacket at the Masters this year and his 15th majors. Your thoughts on the accomplishments of this great, still young man as far as I'm concerned?
Well, I have to put it in a proper perspective. I am celebrating with everyone, black and white, this difficult comeback by Tiger Woods because so many people had counted him out. And Larry, not to rain on everybody's parade, but it reminds me just similar of the great comeback by my friend Muhammad Ali. You know, when everybody had counted him out with George Foreman. You know, when you talk about the comebacks in American sports history or in American history period, you got to put Muhammad Ali at the top because there's no doubt about it. The racism that he had to suffer when they took his title from him. He was dead broke. He had no money. Tiger Woods ain't never been broke. We can't say that. He ain't never been broke. But you know, giving all the credit, you know, to Tiger, man, that was a stand-up moment, man. I mean, I was cheering. There's no doubt about that. But I just want folks to remember Muhammad Ali. He's gone now, but when you talk about comebacks, you got to put Muhammad Ali at the top. No doubt about that. I mean, it took Tiger Woods 14 years to come back, so you got to give all the credit to Tiger for standing up and persevering, as Muhammad Ali said that I have done over the years. Persevere. That was the key, man. Really was the key.
Absolutely it was. Who would you say are in the top 5 sports comeback of all times, including all sports?
Wow, man. Well, like I said, got to
Ali's
one, and I got to put Tiger. I had to put Tiger at number 2, and I'm trying to think. You hit me, boy. You hit right one on it for me to think back. Who else made a great comeback? And I think about, man. Wow, that is difficult, man. Who do you have, Larry? Who do you have?
Go into football. Would you say that great quarterback Peyton Manning?
Oh yeah. That was a great comeback by Peyton Manning. I'm just trying to think, but you know, when we start talking about comebacks, you talk about those first 2 that we talk about. It's hard to think of somebody being in the position that Muhammad Ali and Tiger Woods were in. You understand? And especially,
you're right, because they not only suffered from their occupations being adversely impacted, they went through a lot of mental anguish.
That's right.
Over a period of time in which they were in a position trying to recoup what they once had.
That's right.
So it's they stand out among all others.
You know, and Larry.
Would you say Michael Jordan?
Oh yeah. Michael Jordan had a comeback, but you know he decided to just take a vacation and then came back. But when you think of the individual, these guys come from individual sports. You know what I mean? Being a boxer and being a golfer, you know, they didn't have teammates behind them. I mean, they had people behind them rooting for them and everything, but they were out there in the struggle, in the war zones. You know what I mean? So when you stop and think about those type of comebacks, they are in a class by themselves, Larry.
They absolutely are. And when you talk about golf, a lot of folks in the country as a whole, and black folks in particular, don't know that there is a long, long history of people of color playing golf going all the way back to 1896.
That's right.
Black folks started playing golf competitively in the United States Open. And then in 1899, there was a brother who was a dentist now, mind you, who was so inventive and had so much creativity. He's the guy who invented the golf tee.
Right.
That's never been given credit for.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there used to be the NGA, which is the Negro Golf Association, during the 30s and 40s. And if I roll off the names of people like Charlie Silford and Calvin P. and Jim Thorpe, you know, what would you say about
Teddy Rose, man. Well, you know, Larry, I lived part of that because I was right here at the Langston Golf Course, which was directly across the street from Spingarn High School where I attended. And as you know,
been there many times.
Yeah.
I played the course, but there was even more action in the parking lot.
That's right. Yeah, you've been there. But you know, Larry, out of that Langston Golf Course clubhouse came Lee Elder, who was the first black to play in the Masters.
That's
you know,
right. That's right.
So the history, and see, I kind of familiar with the history because I lived it, because I started out caddying when I was in high school. I went out to Burning Tree Golf Course to caddy on the weekends, which was the most exclusive golf course in this area and probably in this country. This is where all the rich and powerful white men played. They didn't allow no blacks. They didn't even allow their women wives on the course, man. And so this is where I met Richard Nixon when he was vice president. And I caddied for Richard Nixon, which I parlayed that into a presidential appointment when he became president of the United States. So I was out there to see the power brokers, man. And a funny thing, now on Mondays, they allowed the black caddies to play on the golf course on Mondays when they wouldn't let their wives play. And what happened, we found out that really the members were picking our brains because a lot of us caddies played golf and knew the game, so they would let us play on Monday, man. And when they came out there during the weekends and stuff, you know, they knew they had the caddy that knew the golf course and knew the game, man. So yeah, the caddying, and that's another thing, Larry. I'm glad you brought it up. You know, the hallmark of bad carriers on the PGA Tour, on golf courses all over this country, has been the black caddy. He has disappeared, Larry. The black, you talking about Tiger Woods being one of a kind. The black caddy has disappeared because now the golfers were made to give 10% of their earnings to their caddy. So they said, why give it to a caddy? I can let my son caddy for me. I can let my neighbor caddy for me. I can let my wife caddy for me. So the black caddy has disappeared, Larry.
I don't know what's associated with that over the course of history, whether blacks were just against it because it was stereotypical, or because it was just outright racist.
Well, you know, money always plays a factor, man. And I think that the white golfers didn't want to give up 10% of their earnings to someone that was black. You know, it's always about keeping their foot on the pedal and keeping us under control. So they brought in their sons and daughters and wives and neighbors, like I said, to carry those bags for them, man. And that kind of pushed the black caddy to the side, because most of them, you know, were struggling, didn't have an education, man. And so that really hurt. That really hurt, man.
And that it did. We're talking with Harold Bell, one of America's great sports journalists, and one of the people who is a walking, talking, living, breathing encyclopedia of people in sports. And we're glad to have him on. Let's talk about it this morning. And, you know, I've known him for many years during the time that I was in D.C. at WOL Radio on 4th and 8th Street Northeast.
That's right.
In D.C. And my good friend, Coach Butch McAdams, often talked about Mr. Bell, and my good friend Robert Coombs talked about Mr. Bell. And some of you might have heard of the great actor Robert Hicks, who used to be on Hogan's Heroes from time to time, and appeared in numerous movies and things of that order. Also was a good friend and associate of Harold Bell. He's a man well respected. And I want to go back to your relationship with Richard Nixon during that period of time, because you took a big hit.
Yes, I did.
Bell during that period of time, because a lot of brothers were saying, man, you know, Harold is selling out on the show. Being up to Richard Nixon. What's that all about? Is he trying to become the black Sammy Davis of sports?
That was so funny, Larry, you know, because I was at the time, like I said, I was trying to earn some money. I come out of a Northeast housing project, out of a single parent home where my mother was trying to raise 4 boys by herself, and we had to chip in. So I started out carrying groceries on the weekend at a white Safeway across the other side of the tracks. And then one of my homeboys one weekend said, Harold, how you like to caddy? I didn't know about no caddying. So I said, why not? So he said, carrying golf bags. So I went out to Burning Tree Golf Course with him. His name was Jody Ward. I'll never forget it. Went out there and picked up a bag. And a couple of weeks later, I had lost all my money to Petey Green down in the woods gambling. I had lost all my money, man. Went down and messed with Petey Green. And he slicked me out of all my money. So now I'm trying to get back up to the front of the golf course, because, man, I'm trying to say, man, how am I going to get home? Petey gave me $2. Say, here's $2, you know, for you to get on the bus and get you some little tavern hamburgers. But when you come back next week, you owe me $4. I said, oh, my God. So anyway, I'm up there trying to figure out how to get a ride home. And Max Elman, the golf pro, yells at me, hey, little Bell, come here. So I said, uh-oh, I wonder what Max wants. I thought he could get rid of wear me out about being down in the woods gambling. He said, look, I got 2 golfers, and then I go play with 9 holes. He said, you want these bags? I said, man, yes, sir. What you say? I grabbed the bags, and as I was walking to the tee, I heard somebody say, hey, Harold, are you ready for an adventure? I turn around and I see these 2 white men smiling at me, you know. One of them is the Attorney General, William Rogers. The other is the Vice President of the United States, Richard Nixon. So I looked at him and said, man, come on, just give me the money. So, so when we got out on the course, man, after the 3rd hole, I understood exactly what the Vice President was talking about. His ball was in and out of the woods, man. I mean, man, I lie. His ball stayed in the trees more than the birds and the bees, man. And I was catching hell out there, but Mr. Rogers was just laughing because he was a hell of a golfer. He was teaching the Vice President how to play.
Right.
So we went round to the 9 holes, and it was getting dark, man. And I heard Nixon say, hey, Bill, let's go 9 more. I say, what? 9 more? I can't even see the ball. So we struggled around 9 more holes, man, and got up to the 18th tee, man. The clubhouse was dark. There were a couple of lights on in the clubhouse. I said, man, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get home, man. I got to go all the way back into Maryland to catch my bus. So anyway, Vice President came out and gave me a piece of money and said, Harold, we'll see you next time. And I said under my breath, I hope not. So, so now I'm waiting out there for a ride, man, and no rides. I said I'm gonna have to get a ride home with the kitchen help. And who comes out of the clubhouse but the Vice President, Mr. Rogers? And the first thing the Vice President says, Harold, you need a ride? I said, yes, sir, I surely do. And you got to remember, during this time there were no Secret Service men. It was just the 2 of these guys. So we get to the parking lot, man. There's a Cadillac as long as the clubhouse. I ain't never seen a Cadillac that long. So now Mr. Rogers get in the driver's seat and the Vice President get the passenger seat. And man, I opened up that door, Larry. It looked like an apartment back there. I said, wow. So anyway, that's how I got it started. And the Vice President on the way in, he looked around and started asking me questions and stuff. Harold, where do you go to school? And how many brothers and sisters do you have? Where do you live? And all that kind of stuff, man. And a white man has never taken an interest in me. You know, that's the first time I'm being in a situation like that. So, man, it became a friendship that lasted that whole year. And, man, he went his way out of the country. I went down to Winston-Salem. I got a scholarship down to Winston-Salem State College where I played for the great big house games. Saved my life. And here up 1969, I'm back in D.C. working, man. When the President of the United States comes up to the U Street corridor and does a tour about the rides. So somebody else say, Harold, your man is down there doing a tour of the rides. I said, what you talking about, my man? He said, the President of the United States, fool. Larry, I jumped up and ran down there, man. I'm going down to see my friend, the President. Secret Service men will let me nowhere near him. So I told one of the Secret Service men, I said, man, tell him it's Harold Bell. I used to caddy for him at Burning Tree. He said, write him a letter. And I did, man. And I did. And 2 weeks later, man, I got a letter from the White House back from the President, man.
I know he paid a lot of respect to you because he paid tribute to you being involved in the community there in the city of Washington, D.C. for many, many years. But there were other African Americans and folk of some stature who were critical of you for forming that kind of relationship. Were you offended? Were you hurt?
No, look, Larry.
What was your reaction to it?
Well, there was no reaction because they would never say nothing to my face. They would talk behind my back. And I finally figured out, man, what was going on. I didn't know nothing about no politics, being Republican or Democrat, man. I was just in the right place at the right time, man, you know. And it was no way in hell that I was going to turn down a visit to the White House by the President of the United States of America. You know, I'm a young boy from a Northeast housing project. Yeah, man, I said, yeah, I'm going to go take advantage of this. And my wife and our pictures went all over the world. Nixon invites his caddy to the White House. And, man, and the rest is history.
That was something notable. to this day because I can't think of any other sports entity who had the kind of relationship with a president of the United States beyond you, Mr. Bell, and certainly that's a credit to your ability to be able to communicate with people. And when it's all said and done, that's what it's about.
You know what, Larry? It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm glad you said that, man. That me getting that appointment, man, I was able to help, man, a whole lot of young people and a whole lot of adults, man. When I wanted something done, all I had to do was call Herb Klein, who was Director of Communications for the White House at the time, and really one of the most honest guys that you ever want to meet. In fact, Herb got out of there doing Watergate because he didn't want no part of it. But Herb would look out for me. All I had to do was call Mary Ann Snow and tell her I want a job transfer. In fact, I found the first halfway house ever on a military installation at Bolling Air Force Base for juvenile delinquents. That had never been done before. I brought kids in from D.C. where the juvenile facilities were overcrowded and established Bolling Boys Base, man. I had the judges come out, the Redskins come out, everybody to help me with that, man. So when I look at that experience, man, you know, I don't regret it. I was not involved in Watergate. I don't know nothing about Watergate. But black folks are funny, man, you know, but I decided not to get stuck on stupid, man, because if I had paid any attention to what was going on around me, I would have never been able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished. And you know all the people that came through me who are now millionaires. I'm talking about Kathy Hughes. I'm talking about James Brown. I'm talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm talking about John Thompson. I'm talking about Michael Wilbon, Adrian Danley, Adrian Branch. Man, all these people came through me before their 15 minutes of fame, man.
And they did. And you also were known for your famous motto, a lie will change 1,000 times.
There you go.
The truth
will never change.
Every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face you see is not your enemy.
Amen, Larry. Amen, man. I learned that.
I think that's a profound statement.
It is, man.
I think a lot of people receive that very well over the course of the years that they've known you. But it also plays well in our society and today. And when you take a look at the level of what's going on in the world of sports, I am still of the belief that we should have a black owner of a Major League Baseball team.
Larry.
We should have a black owner of a National Football team. And clearly, we've got one owner of a National Basketball Association team, but there should be at least a minimum of 4 to 5, at least in my thinking.
Larry, don't get...
the years, given the fact that the African American makeup of players in the NBA is somewhere between 70 and 75%.
That's right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, Larry, you read my mind, man. You know, when I think about today, Larry, we're talking about today, April 15th, they are celebrating Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson broke into the game in 1947. And now today, every Major League Baseball player will be wearing number 42 on the back of his uniform. And I'm asking myself, what are they celebrating? We've got less than 10% of black African Americans participating in Major League Baseball. We don't have any white owners whatsoever. And you talk about celebrating Jackie Robinson. This man put his life on the line, died at age 52 because of all that stress. And you talking about celebrating Jackie Robinson? Now, I can understand, Rachel, because definitely she was there in the war zone with her, his daughter, Sharon. And I hope Hank Aaron speaks out, man, on the injustices that are going on in Major League Baseball and pro sports around the country, man. The arenas, the stadiums are still segregated, man. We don't have any black owners, man. Here, we've been in this country over 400 years, and we make up 70%, just like you said, of the National Football League, 75% of NBA players, and less than 10% of blacks in Major League Baseball.
And been playing the game for 100 years.
Ain't that something, man? So yeah, I am not into that celebration. I celebrate Jackie Robinson because he's one of my heroes. I mean, those folks who are listening to Larry, you can see because I'm broadcasting too from Legends Inside Sports. You can see behind me. You see there's Jackie Robinson right behind me. You see there's Muhammad Ali. Those are my heroes. Paul Robeson. Think about those two young men, Larry, that went through all that hell after the 1968 Olympics. Think about them.
Yeah,
The sacrifices that they
John
made.
Laws and Tommy Smith, they did. They went through years of ridicule and intimidation and threats from what they did in the 1968 Olympics.
That's
That
right.
was nothing more than just an expression of the kind of inequality and racism that black athletes have been faced with from the outset.
That's right. That is so right, man. I'm telling you, you hitting the home run this morning with me, man. I'm telling you.
I got to ask you because we only got about 34 minutes on the show, and there's a lot of cover with you, Mr. Bell. I want to ask you about some of your critics who are oftentimes saying that you just made an expression a little while ago about you didn't want to rain on anybody's parade.
Right.
But some folks say that when you go talk to Harold Bell, you better take an umbrella with you.
Well,
you respond to your critics who always think that you over criticize black athletes. What's your response?
Well, I tell you what, Larry, you pick any of those black athletes that I just said, Doug Williams, Sugar Ray Leonard, and I will tell you the story behind the story. You understand?
Let me pick one.
Pick one.
Elgin Baylor and Dave Bing.
Elgin Baylor and Dave Bing. Well, we come out of the same high school, and we played for the same coaches. Elgin Baylor is one of the greatest to ever pick up a basketball. And the man that saved my life, Coach Dave Brown, saved Elgin Baylor's life because Elgin was not a great student, neither was I. And he had lost his way. And Coach Brown hung in there with him. He went from Phelps to Spingarn where he started. And, Elgin ain't have grades to go to the bathroom. You understand? Much like myself. But he went on to become one of the greatest NBA players of all time. But my thing with Elgin, he never came back to really say thank you to his coach, And I was the first student athlete to ever give a thank you, a luncheon, and tribute to all the teachers at Spingarn because I know I jumped the moon. I was going to hell in a hurry. In fact, my middle school principal, Mr. William B. Stinson, told my mother that I wasn't going to live to get out of high school. But Dave Brown saved my life, man, in so many ways, man. Now, there was a Reverend Roundtree who coached Dave Bing, who I played for. And I got kicked off the team my senior year because I had become so selfish, man, hogging the ball, ruining a good team. He kicked me off the team my senior year, so I was teed off at him. And Dave Bing came through this same man. I was a mentor to Dave Bing. When on the playgrounds, man, John Thompson, Dave Bing, man, they stepped back when I came on the playground, But to see that man and what he did for Dave Bing, Dave was a little petty thief. Dave would have been in jail had it been not for Reverend Roundtree. Well, Reverend Roundtree, after leaving Spingarn, became a minister, and he found this like a shelter for kids, man, over in Southeast Washington. Even though I was mad at him, I put all that behind, and I went over there and started helping him. So I asked Dave, hey, Dave, you need to come over and help Reverend Roundtree, man, because he needs some help over here, man. He can't keep the electric on, the water on, and Dave Bing didn't come back, and then he wrote a big story in the newspaper. They quoted Dave Bing said, "I'm coming back to help Coach Reverend Roundtree get a house for his kids," and he never came back. When he was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame, he didn't even invite Reverend Roundtree to the ceremonies. I had to take Reverend Roundtree up to Philadelphia with Sonny Hill, and we got on the bus because Earl Monroe was going into the Hall of Fame at the same time. So Earl come out of Winston-Salem, so I was going, Earl, that's my man too. So we went down to the Hall of Fame, and all of us sitting at the table, and Dave Bing finally realized that Reverend Roundtree was in the audience, man, and he pointed at Reverend Roundtree, was his coach, and went on. That was great. And then he ignored me, but I didn't care. So, but guess what? Earl Monroe followed him, and guess what Earl Monroe did? Earl Monroe introduced me at the NBA Hall of Fame. So, it's those things where Elgin and Dave could have come back and done some good, man, that they didn't. Now, Dave never disrespected me. You understand? I just didn't like what he did to our coach. You understand?
Well, let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on the obligations of professional athletes who come from all of the major urban areas throughout this country and small towns?
Oh, man.
In terms of their contributions to the black community in and of itself.
Well,
is that akin to, I just read a story the other day on Urban Institute that they said some guy wrote a piece that black churches since 1980 to present day have collected $420 billion in tithes. And I said, that can't be right.
Yeah, man.
And then you have to ask the question, well, where does the money go?
Yeah.
Same question could be formed in the way of black athletes who are successful, or black celebrities for that matter, in terms of, say, asking why do they not make more visible contributions to the black community?
Well, Larry, that's another outstanding question, man. See, I grew up in the church, man. That's been my foundation. My great grandfather found Mount Airy Baptist Church in North Capitol L Street in 1893. He laid the first brick to build a church. It's a historical landmark there. But growing up with my grandmother during the early years, she used to take us to church 3 and 4 times a week because she played the organ. My aunts and uncles sung in the choir. It was home, man. And I went to real church. I always tell everybody I went to real church, man. You didn't get there by 11 o'clock on Sundays, man. You didn't have a seat, man. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then us youngsters who had seats, we had to get up for the seniors and the adults to let them have our seats. So I went to real church, man. My grandmother, my uncles, and my aunts, man. You talking about, man? It was like a revival every Sunday, man. So I know about giving back, man, because I went out with my great uncle and my grandmother to the hospitals on Wednesdays, man, to to visit the sick and shut in. And then when I see the black athlete, man, I'm talking about what I know, not what somebody told me. Sugar Ray Leonard didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, Larry, when he came home from the 1976 Olympics with his gold medal on. He was coming home thinking there was going to be a ticker tape parade for him, right? He got home, Larry, and the media gave him the blues for having a baby out of wedlock.
Wow.
Sugar Ray Leonard went in the house and would not come out. So I'm playing tennis down in Anacostia one day, and here comes Dave Jacobs, and Dave Jacobs, Dave Jacobs and Jinx Morton. They were his trainers.
Oh, okay.
They were Jinx Morton was his trainer. So I'm playing tennis. I look outside the gate. I see, what the hell is Dave and Jinx doing there? They don't play no tennis. So I leave the tennis court and I go out and I say, man, what's happening? Well, Harold, Sugar Ray won't come out the house, man. He lost all his self-esteem. I said, what you talking about? I said, man, he just won't come out. Man, we need for you to go over there and get him to come out the house. So the next morning, Larry, I went over and knocked on the door. He opens up the door with tears in his eye. I say, boy, I can't say what I want to say, what I told him out of my mouth. But anyway, I said, man, get your gold medal on, put on a suit. I had called one of my principals at the elementary school that I was working out, Mr. Cousin. I said, Mr. Cousin, I'm going to bring Sugar Ray Leonard up there, find a class that he can speak to, because I knew elementary school kids, they didn't look at all that garbage and politics. All they saw was the hero. So I took Ray up there and started taking him out to elementary schools to rebuild his self-esteem. I let him co-host my show. I was the only one who had a sports talk show, Larry. I took him on the air, let him co-host the show, and the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
And when he beat Benitez, he called me live on the air and said, Harold Bell, I am the welterweight champion of the world today.
Which was, what a great fight that was.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Mr. Bell, we're going to have to take our only break right here.
Okay.
And come back to close out the show with you, because when we come back, I want to hear your top starting 5 for basketball in general, and certainly out of Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah. I got that for you. I got you.
You're listening to Let's Talk About It on KABF, the voice of the people. All
right. We're talking to my friend Larry Hicks, and In Arkansas, man. Yeah, Larry is was here in Washington D.C. at WOL for a number of years,
Okay.
and of course he's now
Hey, Mr.
broadcasting
Bill,
down.
you still there with
Yeah, I'm
us?
still here with you, baby.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's going to be a 2.5 minute break.
Okay.
So is everything going okay so
Everything's
far?
going fine, man. I'm broadcasting on this end. You broadcasting on that end. Look.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be back in just a few moments.
Okay, Larry. So anyway, yeah, we're here and we're talking. This is the Legends of Inside Sports, and of course, I'm your host Harold Bell, and we're visiting down in Arkansas, talking with Larry Hicks, who's the host of FM radio station down there, and we're talking about really we're looking at sports in general. But what we're really looking at, we're looking at the game called life. You know, that is the most important game being played in the world today. Not football, basketball, or baseball. It's a game called life. And you look behind me and you see Jackie Robinson, and I even got a picture of Tiger Woods back there and Muhammad Ali. You know, Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali, man, you talking about running 1 and 2 and reaching back, man, the sacrificing. These guys had sacrificed, and that's what it's all about. Paul Robeson, even Jesse Owens, man. And we talk about Tommy Smith and his partner, John Carlos, man, the 1968 Olympics. You talking about folks making a sacrifice. That's why today, when I look at guys like Doug Williams, John Thompson, Sugar Ray Leonard, James Brown, Michael Wilbon, they don't know nothing about reaching back. They don't want to reach back. Kathy Hughes, all of them. That's the problem we're having today. We don't know how to reach back. I don't know where we lost it. I really don't. You know, I made sacrifices, but you know what? It really didn't make any difference because I believe there's a God. I believe there's a God. That's why I'm still here. So my thing is, man, that we all got to pull one another along with us. And I run into so many youngsters out there talking about, well, Mr. Bell, I majored in communications. I can't find a job because we don't have anyone pulling another youngster behind them like I did. So that's what I've been all about, man. You know, James Brown.
Mr. Bell, we're
Yes.
coming back in 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll be ready. So when I talk about James Brown and those folks who came through Inside Sport, David Aldridge, Michael Wilbon, I have put more people who come through me before their 15 minutes of fame in sports media and media period. So hey, that's what it's all about, helping others.
All right, we're back in our studios with the final portion of Let's Talk About It. I'm Larry Hicks, your host at 10 o'clock this morning, and we have with us the great Harold Bell, one of America's great black sports journalists, one of America's great sports journalists, period. Bump the black thing. Mm-hmm. But it's all good that we've got him here. And before we bring him back on, I want to remind some of you in the city today that on this evening at 5:30, it is going to be at 1601 South Louisiana. That's at the Ladont Paw Quarter. Is that what it is, Mr. Kane? They're going to be having a grassroots event put together by some folks that are going to be talking about the community reclaiming the Little Rock School District, a conversation, folks, that's way overdue and past overdue. Now, don't none of y'all get offended because I'm saying it's way overdue. I know that there have been many people who've been working hard in terms of reclaiming the school district and having people who are here in this city represent the school district and not the state of Arkansas, who is representing and controlling it and has been for the last 5 years. But the reason that's still going on is because we ain't been assertive enough. We haven't complained enough. We haven't been voiceful enough about it. And now is the time in order for us to do it. We've got a great leader in the form of our young Mayor Frank Scott Jr., who is fully behind it, and we need to be behind him in terms of pushing this particular issue over the finish line. Let's get back the school district from the state of Arkansas in the hands of the city of Little Rock once and for all. That's going to be 5:30 this evening. featuring Tatu Brown, Journey for Justice Alliance, and he's one of the leaders of that. And that's going to be down again at 1601 South Louisiana. Come out and be a part of supporting that. And don't forget that this week, I should say coming up next month, rather, we're going to have Millie McGee Morris back on the show, and she's going to be updating us on her book, Shocking Truths and Lies, and her family relationship to J. Edgar Hoover. And with that, we go back to our phone line with Harold Bell. Harold Bell, who's your top 5 out of Washington, D.C.?
Well,
overall.
Okay, before we get there, I want to say one thing. You know, something else that's close to my heart, and right there in Arkansas, I want you to bring me up, give me an update, because I had written a story on a blog on blackmeninamerica.com. Those of you who want to keep up with me, blackmeninamerica.com is one of the top 6 ranked black websites out of 50, number 6. That's what I write for. And I did a story on the right to carry because Larry brought to my attention, and I saw in the news about this powerful young lady who stood up, you know, in Arkansas about the right to carry, which is meaning a right to kill, as far as I'm concerned. And she's one of my heroes, so I want to find out, Larry, what's the update there?
The state Senator Stephanie Flowers, and they have pushed the issue back. It is still on the deferred list. They are still trying to do some things underneath the covers, as is often the case. You already know about
right.
That all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
But the position that she took helps suppress it and keep it from going into effect at that particular time. But now there's another effort that they're trying to undertake, but they don't have the votes for it. And we're going to keep speaking out loudly about that and continue supporting not only Senator Flowers, but Senator Chesterfield and Representative Blake, and certainly Senator Elliott and all the others who are involved in that particular issue. So thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Bell. Well, we've got just about 15 more minutes left.
Okay.
I need your top 5, man.
Okay, this is my top 5 out of Washington, D.C. These are the greatest players that I know that come out of here. And, of course, number 1 is Eldon Baylor. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy, Larry, while he was here, but his name was Willie Jones. He could shoot that basketball, talk to you, and shoot the basketball. He was an entertainer on the basketball court.
Yeah, and Will Jones was also the head coach at UDC.
That's right. And he went out there with Lefty Driesell for a while as assistant coach before he came back to UDC. That's right. Yeah. He won a national championship. That's right. Okay, that's my first 2. The next one is, of course, Dave Bing. And there was a young man by the name that came along at the same time that Dave did. He just was not able to carry it to the next level. And I'm talking about a young brother by the name of Bernard Levi, man. He could play that basketball, man. So when I started thinking about, that's my top 4. I'm trying to think. I got all this in my new book, too. I got all this. I got the top 20 because there were so many great basketball players. But number 5 on that list was a guy who was the number 1 draft choice out of the University of San Francisco, number 1 draft choice of the Boston Celtics. His name was Ollie Johnson. So that's my top 5. That's right. Ollie Johnson, Dave Bing, Elgin, Willie Jones, and Bernard Levi, man. So that's my top 5. And I got that in my new book, Harold Bell's Legends, and walk through American sports history with champions and chumps. You can read about them all. You can read about them all. But Larry, I want to say one thing too before we get out of here. You gave me a lot of play as far as people saying great things about me, but this is one of the biggest compliments that I've ever had. This guy wrote, Harold, congratulations. Your archives are valuable and should be given the broadest possible exposure. Have you thought about offering your disc of your programs to the new Smithsonian Institution, National Museum of African American History and Culture? A wing of the museum will be dedicated to the struggle in sports and will be titled Leveling the Playing Field. Your work was a major force over the years in leveling the playing field, especially in terms of the struggle to define and project our truth. Great job over the years. Great timing in reprising that legacy now. the best wishes of me and my family to your wife. She is in our thoughts and prayers, Dr. Harry Edwards. Don't get no better than that.
No, it don't. It doesn't at all. And certainly that is something I hope you are considering, Mr. Bill, at some point in time.
Yeah, they play games on us, Larry. They play games on us, so.
Well, you have to go back to the old Reagan principle on it: trust but verify.
Right, that's right.
And see how real it's going to be. Let's continue this conversation because I want to also quickly change over to boxing for a few minutes and get not only your because you were the first guy to interview Muhammad Ali after he knocked out George.
That's right, the first
in Africa. And what was your initial reaction to that? Did you believe Ali was going to accomplish it?
No, I didn't, man. I was scared. I had gone to Chicago to interview him before he went to Zaire. So me and my partner Rodney Brown went to Chicago to interview him, and my man, his security man, Pat Patterson, picked us up at the airport, and we went to the gym, man. Couldn't even get in the gym. We had to go in the side door. There were so many people there, and got in there, and he was just, just get ready to leave the ring and go in and have a massage and stuff. So I was standing out there trying to figure out what's going on when Rockmont, his brother, came up to me and said, Harold, the champ want to see you, he said he want to see you in the back. So I went back there and Muhammad was lying on getting a massage, So I sit down in that chair in front of him. He said, Harold, what you want to do? I said, man, I want to interview you, man. I'm going to do my own television special. He said, okay. He said, we can go to Zaire and do it. I said, what? Go to Zaire? I said, man, I ain't going to Zaire. I'm scared to fly across the ocean. He said, what? He started laughing and doing cluck, 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 cluck. I said, I don't care what you say. I ain't going to Zaire. So make a long story short, we had dinner, and he told me before I left, he said, look, when I get back, since you're not going, I'll go give you the first interview. Now, Muhammad Ali always say all kinds of crazy stuff. You can't never pay attention to what he said because he just might say anything. So we got back on the plane, went back to D.C., and I went down to Constitution Hall for the closed circuit fight. And me, Roy Jefferson, the Redskins, Roy's wife, and my wife Hattie. So we went down there, man, and man, I tell you, man, it's one of the greatest fights I ever seen. He didn't tell nobody he was going to do the rope-a-dope. Didn't nobody know he was going to do the rope-a-dope but him. And man,
I was watching along with all my friends, and we said there's got to be some strategy to it, and it was.
And it was.
And that was with Foreman losing all of his strength.
That's right.
Trying to beat Muhammad up against the ropes. That was one of the greatest boxing strategies ever, man. Ever, man. And let me also go into asking you about a few great fighters and where they stand in the Harold Bell pantheon of Hall of Fame great boxers. Where does Tommy Hearns belong?
Tommy's right up there, man. We really have, when we look at boxing, we got to look at the different weight classes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we look at.
And the heavyweight division was the top division with Muhammad Ali. But man, after that, man, it was Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, some great fighters, Larry.
They were
great fighters. And
where would you put the Hawk? Aaron Pryor.
Above all of them, above Tommy, above Sugar Ray, above Durant. Look here, they ducked him. Larry, they ducked him. Aaron Pryor came here to D.C. to work out with Sugar Ray Leonard. They both thought they'd bring Aaron Pryor, and so I had to take care of Aaron and get him a place to live and everything. And man, let me tell you, he wore Ray Leonard out, man. They paid him and got him out of here real quick. And he beat Tommy Hearns in the amateur. Man, let me tell you, man, if it hadn't been for drugs, man, this boy would have been one of the greatest fighters of all time. Plus, they ducked him. Man. Sugar Ray Leonard, let me tell you, Sugar Ray Leonard was the chosen one. He was the chosen one. He was the money maker for all of that. So he got a lot of decisions he shouldn't have had, and Tommy Hearns should have beat him 2 out of 3, man, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll never forget when the Hawk and Alexis Arguello.
Oh yeah, that's my man. Yeah, Alexis Woodbrook, class act. Yeah.
Arguello was an underrated champion, and from my perspective, but he was a great fighter. Had lots of heart. sweetheart and was really a classic guy.
It was, man. Class guy, man. I got pictures of us together now, man. I'm going up to Atlantic City, I think in June, when they go put him into the Atlantic City Hall of Fame. You know, he's no longer with us, man, including Aaron Pryor, but a whole lot of great boxers will be there.
You going into my turf up in Atlantic City. That's where I was for 15 years.
No
and
kidding.
I got a chance to see all of the great fighters come through there, from Tyson and Michael Spink.
Yeah.
All of the great ones.
Yeah.
And listen, Mr. Bell, we're running out of time.
Okay.
But I just want to thank you so much for making yourself available to be on this program today. We did not cover a lot of things that I wanted to, because you told me about Kyle Corbin's story.
Oh, yeah, man.
I have read it and reviewed it, and we need to talk
Isn't that
about
fantastic? And don't forget, next time we got to talk about that go-go thing, because I want to talk about that Chuck Brown thing.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about the go-go piece on the next time around. So can we get a commitment from you to come back on the show?
Yeah, just call, man. You know, I'm nothing but a telephone call away, man. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Well, we've enjoyed you, and I hope all the people in our listening audience on this morning did the same equally. We appreciate you so much. Much continued success to you and your beautiful wife, and all the work that you do in the capital city, Washington, D.C. Give my best to all of the brothers when you talk to Bob Coates and my main man, Coach Butch McAdams. I hope they continue to perform at the highest level that they do in radio. All thanks to Harold Bell making it possible for us all. Yeah,
but Butch is doing very well, man. Thank you so much for having me, man. I have enjoyed it. And looking forward anytime, man. Just call me, man, because I want to be able to share this information, man, because we need to know the truth. They're not really covering our history. They're suppressing our history, and we really don't know who paid the trailblazers for us, who opened up doors for me, man. You know.
So and give your website.
Oh yeah, my website. Just go to www.blackmeninamerica.com. No, blackmeninamerica.com, and you can pull up all my blogs, and you can see how to order my book. And also you can go to www.theoriginalinsidesports.blog to find out where I am. Just email me, holler at me. I'm here. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Harold Bell, our guest here on Let's Talk About It this morning. We hope you enjoyed the program. Coming up next will be Mr. Mood and Marquise playing the best jazz throughout all of Little Rock. And coming up on the 29th.
All right, that was, of course, Larry Hicks. And, hey, enjoyed it. And we'll be going back to Arkansas. I'm appearing in radio stations all over the country. You know, what I'm doing at blackmeninamerica.com, the number 6 ranked black website, most read website in the country. So be able to check me out there. And remember, as I always say, that every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. Until next time, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.
I understand. It's not. I think the same thing. It's not. No, you don't need to go back. Listen, God got you. It's a new day. When the praises go up, the blessings come down. And puddle in my life like raindrops on dry ground. God's covenant with me keeps me around. I used to listen to the devil in surround sound, but it's a new day, freshly pulled